Once upon a time, in a quiet village where people used to talk face to face, the villagers spent their days strolling through the park, chatting with neighbors, and occasionally sending a letter by pigeon. Life was simple, and people had learned to live without being constantly connected. One day, a mysterious box arrived in the town square. It was sleek, shiny, and small enough to fit in your hand. The town's smartest man, Professor Clicksworth, opened the box and found what he called a cell phone. The villagers gathered around in awe as he pressed a button. Suddenly, a bright screen lit up, showing pictures of cute cats and the weather forecast for the next 100 years. The crowd gasped. "We no longer need pigeons," Professor Clicksworth declared. "The future is here, and it fits in your pocket." At first, people were curious. They checked the weather and sent silly pictures to their neighbors, who lived just a stone's throw away. It seemed like harmless fun, but soon things began to change. The villagers became obsessed with their magical rectangles. They no longer walked in the park or talked to each other. Instead, they sat in clusters, heads bowed as though worshiping the great screen. Families would sit down for dinner, but instead of passing the potatoes, they passed around memes. Even old Farmer Grumble, who once refused to get indoor plumbing, was caught scrolling through endless pictures of baby goats. The village blacksmith, who once crafted horseshoes with pride, now spent his days live streaming his work. People from neighboring towns would tune in, offering unsolicited advice like, "Try using a hammer." He never got any work done. Meanwhile, the baker, who used to make the most delicious bread in all the land, was now too busy posting bread selfies and forgot to bake half the time. His sourdough became as flat as the town's enthusiasm for real conversations. One day, the village council, led by the wise, but now perpetually distracted, Mayor Flick, gathered to discuss the state of the village. They sat around a table, but no one made eye contact. Instead, they texted each other, even though they were all in the same room. Suddenly, the village elder, Grandma Nellie, who hadn't looked at a phone once, slammed her walking stick on the table. "Back in my day, we didn't need these blinking contraptions to talk. We just opened our mouths." She waved her cane, causing a startled gasp from the council, who quickly Googled how to open mouths without phones. Grandma Nellie decided to take action. She gathered all the villagers and led them into the forest where there was no Wi-Fi. "Look around," she cried. "These trees? They've been here longer than your cell phones. The sky? It doesn't need a weather app." The villagers blinked, dazed and confused, unsure what to do without their notifications. Slowly but surely, they started to look up from their screens. They noticed the birds chirping, the wind rustling through the leaves, and the sound of actual voices. For the first time in years, people started to talk to each other again. Someone even passed around Real bread, instead of just pictures of it. But just as they were about to rediscover the joy of living without phones, a loud ding echoed through the forest. Someone had received a notification, and like a group of mesmerized moths, they all reached for their pockets, eyes glued once more to the magic rectangles.